Alrighty, so I have always wanted to make a video about video games. Never really got around to it. Anyway, here we are. So the video game I'm sort of reviewing, if you will. This isn't so much a video game review as it is like a analysis of what I kind of learned as a martial artist and what I sort of hope that I'll discover as a person. That doesn't make a lot of sense. What does make a lot of sense is using these video games as a kind of simulation to not die in battle. So I think I've found kind of a system that makes sense and is also kind of obvious, but none of this is making sense. Let's go straight to the video. So one thing, if you're playing video games, if you're into these, the thing that I find, and when I say if you're into these, I think a lot of people are. The thing that I find interesting is this is this idea that you can play these games and that it has anything to do with making progress as a soldier, which I think it's extremely limited in that sense. I'm going to be honest with you, I played way too many hours on this thing. The graphics are fantastic, as you can see. These are just playbacks. It's sort of easier to make this video without editing. Not that I'm lazy, but wow, that was a nice shot. But you know, would I have got that shot if someone was actually shooting back at me? Probably not. He probably would have opened fire a long time ago. All these guys would have nailed me or close to, and in all honesty, I would have freaked out. The jetpack is kind of interesting. What if every soldier did actually have a jetpack? Here I'm just trying to get the cover, which kind of works, and is something I feel like in Battlefront 2 doesn't really come into play. It tends more to be a free-for-all. But, so now you can see there's just shot after shot. I eventually just run up the hill. I would have got killed so many times. I mean, if this was real life, like, okay, they have armor. The rebels don't have armor. The stormtroopers do. All those would have killed me. Of course, that would have killed me, plus all those shots. Like, a lot of times, like, no one wears body armor every day. So, like, from a self-defense standpoint, this is useless. What isn't useless is getting to cover. That's like the most important thing. I even found playing like squadrons, like a starfighter game, you can still use like asteroids as cover, even in a starfighter, which is sort of interesting and kind of ridiculous. But so now I'm just running over to this cliff where I can see the whole battlefield. First I throw that vehicle turret down, where I can see the whole battlefield, and then I'm going to stand up against the cliff so that the TIE fighters can't strafe me, so that they can only see me from one side. The only thing is, though, like, as you can see, I'm shooting at this guy. He clearly could have hid behind a rock and just shot right back at me. I played this video game for hours trying to analyze it. Like, I agree, it's probably not a smart thing to do. Looking at the Walker's Walk was kind of interesting. And I will say that these video games, the graphics are amazing, and the way it like does kind of feel real is really interesting. We're actually going to skip ahead a little bit here, so actually I have to go to the next one. Oh, first I'm going to shoot this guy. Am I going to get him? Am I going to get him? I don't think I did. I think I missed. That's supposed to be tracking, but I don't think it went. Even though it's tracking, I found it was just easier just to shoot him straight on. Anyway, so now this is the second part of this Walker Star Wars Battlefront. I found if you just get to these uplink things and stand behind them, the stormtroopers have to try to run to the uplink, and then you just nail them while they're at the uplink. It's pretty easy. But I guess if this was like reality, they could just shoot the uplink pretty easy, and then that would be that. So now I'm on this E-Web blaster, and the only thing is, over here, the turret, this awesome turret, I'm just going to mow down anyone who comes in here. the turret doesn't see the corridor. You can't turn it around. I guess in real life you could have done that. But I still feel like anyone could get there, like crawl and shoot you. I mean, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't, but I just wanted to use these video games as like, what if I was in like a real battle? Like a test in that way. And I kind of found this spot in the corner where I could just hide behind if anyone snuck up on me. Although technically they could have run around and in the back door, but I guess the AI just isn't smart enough. I mean, it is just the computer playing against here. But, so yeah, let's skip ahead, because as you can see, as these guys come in, you can just mow them down and they don't even have a chance. But as you can see, like, even those 2 shots, like, they probably could have got me. This is just normal difficulty. But, at this point, I had to jump off the turret because someone comes up the hallway there. So, there are all kinds of different weapons you can choose from, and it feels like a lot of fun, but I end up just using the one gun, the Relby, because it's super accurate, has a scope, and you can fire it a bunch of times, so it's kind of good at close range and far range all at the same time. But then it's like, ooh, there's a guy. Nice. But then it's like, should every soldier just have a sniper rifle and a regular gun? Do they? I don't know. Now I kind of see, like, what was it, World War I, when they had the M1 Garand, why they would do that, because then, like, it's probably better just to have one, like, super accurate gun than to have, but I don't know, then, like, there was the Thompson machine gun in World War II. This isn't, like, by any means an accurate historical, analysis. It is in my mind, in terms of my experience of it, and that matters to me, and honestly, making these videos is going to be a great way to memorialize this and make me remember. But I think it was really important to play these games, but honestly, like, they're, for every instance where something cool happens, it's like, yeah, but it just wouldn't have happened that way. I would think it would be more just like a line, and it's interesting how the end of this level is kind of just like lines, trenches in the snow. But the minute the enemy gets close, just all hell breaks loose. Which brings me to my next topic. Star Wars Battlefront 2, it seems like even less accurate, as like odd as that may seem. The thing about this game is it just kind of turns into an all-out free-for-all in my mind. There isn't, oftentimes in the different levels I played, there's like almost no way to see what's going on behind you. And I kind of got lucky in this video. I picked Naboo, where there kind of is always something going on in front of you and nothing going on behind you. And for that reason, although I died right there, so I can kind of try to get to cover and then see what happens and sort of shoot at an opponent if I see one, and hopefully not die because I'm in cover and there's nothing behind me. But it seems kind of boring to play that way, so I just charge ahead, but every time I do that, I inevitably die. Gamers would probably look at that like perfect cover I have. I swear he still gets me, and I'm like checking to make sure no one comes up over there. Oh no, never mind. I do go over here. Gamers would probably hate me for this review, but in all honesty, like, the only way to make sure you don't die is just to run away, as dumb as that sounds. But I mean, this idea of like walking away from trouble is something we talk about in self-defense, and I think that's just hugely important. Obviously, if you were like in the military, you can't just run away. I mean, that wouldn't be the right thing to do either. But I think what you have to do if you happen to be in some sort of shootout, not that you should be, and obviously you avoid that, but we all play these games and watch these movies, and they all have to do with guns, right? So it's worthwhile to kind of pick this apart. So, I think the main thing about being, if bullets are flying, just get your head down and get to cover and keep in mind what's behind you and try to work your way back, especially if you're not trying to hold a line because you're not in a battle. You know what I mean? So you would just sort of shoot at something if you had the option to, and if you don't. And as like ridiculous to a gamer as this would seem, me just hiding behind stuff and shooting at things, if I had a chance, think about it. If you were in the war and you know, were in a trench and you did actually, you know, get someone from the other side, I mean, it isn't like, it kind of reminds me of Christopher Nolan's movie, like just surviving is something, right? Dunkirk. But, like even getting one opponent, if everyone got one opponent, like you'd probably win the battle in terms of numbers, right? Obviously this is like a moral gray area. But this idea of playing video games where like you can mow down like 10 people at a time, I don't think that ever happened. There was that one, I remember that Ken Burns documentary, I'll have to look into this further, where that like one guy who was a conscientious objector ended up getting like 7 Germans or something like that. Good for him, he was like stuck in a trench or something. I definitely have to look that up better, but in all honesty, all that I'm learning from analyzing these games is that these have nothing to do with self-defense in any way, practically. The idea of like running around and the environment and all, like at one point I hid behind like flaming wreckage, obviously you couldn't do that, it's hot. But honestly, I just need to not play video games because these are really not getting me anywhere. What is getting me somewhere is making gunfight videos, fictional, where I can kind of break it down. And in all honesty, like the biggest thing to do is like just drop and roll and run away. And that's how you not die. Oh my gosh, I actually got a player right there. Anyway, let me see if I can find another spot in this that sort of makes sense. There was one point where I like, no, I just die. Let's go onto the ship. I even got the sniper rifle and tried to just be a sniper, and I ended up dying then too. This one's actually multiplayer where people are apparently actually playing against me. This isn't how battles would go. Everyone would be dug in and just shooting at opponents if they had the opportunity. Obviously that's a big statement because I'm not a historian, but I just don't think that it would go this way. Now hold on, this one's the next one. So here I tried again, just to not die, just get to cover, and I kind of did a good job at first. I mean, obviously I'm not going to see a lot, and I'm not going to have a lot of opportunities, but that's fine. I'm not dead, and that matters. All those guys up there would be totally mowed down. And have there been people in history who have made it out lucky? Yeah, I feel like Wyatt Earp was kind of in the middle of something like that and just totally lucked out, man. I mean, again, I'm not a historian, you know, maybe that's blasphemy, but I don't think so. I really loved reading about Charles Siringo and how he kind of got in and out of these situations using like deception and negotiation, because he was the cowboy detective, as he called himself, I believe. It's late. I should really be asleep right now. Alright, so then I just get sick of it and I'm like, oh, let's do it their way. And watch how fast I die. Let's count to 10. I bet I'll be dead. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Yep. I like hardly even get a shot off. How could you? Even with armor, you'd still be dead. And it's amazing, like, how much firepower there is in the world and how, like, little we wear armor. But, like, we have normal society, you know what I mean? Like, as much fun as these games were, man, like, I don't know, think about, like, the original Star Wars, A New Hope. They're, like, pretty much, like, ducking behind doorways and, like, jump out, shoot, 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 jump back. This is really important to me. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's kind of enough examples. I'll let that run, but eventually I'll know which way to pan this. The thing is, if I could, like, manipulate the game for there to be, like, less strafing in the Walker Assault on Battlefront 1, I think that might be more accurate, because I don't see how any fighter pilot could stay stuck on one player. Like, literally the computer just does that to you. But at the same time, you'd really have to be, like, crouched down with a sniper rifle to get someone and them not get you. And even then, like, if they could see where you were shooting from, that's the thing about laser guns, they can just see where you're shooting from. That's not the way it would be if it was a gun. And then, even if you did have this sniper outpost, if you have all this firepower, just shoot a rocket launcher at it, right? I don't know, all this is sort of super hypothetical and feels relevant all at the same time. But I think in all honesty, it's kind of a confession. I've probably played these Battlefront games, at least the first one. That one I just tried for 3 hours. But the first one I've probably... Oh, it'll tell me. That'll be really cool. I've literally played this game for... That one for 3 hours. This one for 50 hours. And honestly, all that I've learned from it is that somehow we have, like, this innate need for violence, or it's like somehow fun. But I think, like, a way bigger role is just, like, deception and, like, finding ways to be undercover in a way. This video may have not made any sense to you. But someday I will look back at it, and it'll mean a lot to me. But I think over time, people will sort of appreciate it. It's just sort of a note on videos. We have all this space to put videos. Why don't we all just make videos and talk about stuff, and, you know, we can communicate that way instead of spending 50 hours playing this game, because in all honesty, that was a crazy waste. And I'm really sad it is, but uninstall. I could go on and on about more video games. I think this Indiana Jones game is sort of more interesting. It's kind of just a puzzle that, if I, you know, use a timer, is kind of fun to play and just kind of forget about stuff. I'll never forget this one time I was super stressed out and I just played Zelda for the first time, Majora's Mask, in many years, and that really helped me de-stress, just take my mind off stuff. But I think video games kind of hijack our mind in a way that is extremely dangerous. And I think video game addiction, one, is kind of a gateway to way more serious addictions, but I think it's kind of becoming a plague, man, just like, you know, attention deficit and phones. But I think these video games are something that we, you know, something that I wish I could spend time, like, designing and making more interesting, so that it would kind of help people to develop, you know, kind of a more of an interest in doing real things. Instead of playing these video games today, I could have just been making videos, editing, you know, photos, my new comic book or something like that, which I wish I did, and I'm just not going to get that time back. But I think the moral of the story is, at any time you can't stop watching a screen for more than 45 minutes, and I understand work is a different scenario where we're kind of forced into that. I think 45 minutes is my limit, man. If I watch a screen for more than 45 minutes, I just need to stop. It's just not healthy, and I feel like the human body just isn't ready to do that, and like maybe over millions of years we'll evolve to be more suited to that, but I kind of hope not. And I like to think that making laser gun shootout videos has like an actual self-defense kind of purpose. Not that I ever want to be in a gunfight. I never do, probably never will be, thank God. But I think some people are thrust into those situations, and I think self-defense is a lot of fun, and analyzing it and having that be a part of our lives, the idea that not just the pursuit of knowledge is important, but the pursuit of protecting ourselves so we can survive to learn stuff. That those two things kind of always go together, which I think is why Star Wars is appealing, because you have this idea of the Force, which is kind of this like inner spiritual piece that in my mind kind of also comes from book learning, is maybe half of that in a way. And then the other part of it is like, sneaking around places like the Death Star. And then if you do get into, some type of confrontation, having the skills to get out of it. Anyway, that is a lot of philosophy. Someday, hopefully, all of this will make some sort of sense. Maybe not. Anyway, bye.